Steve, you mentioned that the dead scientists. This is so important, folks. If you're not familiar with this, check Steve's site out on the dead scientists. But that began like in the Clinton administration. So, I mean, this whole everything we're seeing right now has been carefully crafted, orchestrated. Overtly. I mean, it's overt to the point where, a guy's got 2 gunshot wounds to the back of his head, and they call it a suicide because they have to. I mean, it's just so crazy. So we are really, when you look at it, we are well into this whole process, because this actually began 15 years ago, really, didn't it? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. Are we not past now the point of no return?
Yes, we are.
Simple
That's
answer.
not negative. It's true. Look, God said, listen, can I tell you something? When God basically washes his hands of a nation, and whether it's John Price, you've had him on your show, the daughter of Babylon, mystery Babylon, financial Babylon, I believe all of the above, just different manifestations. We're not the historic Babylon that's in Iraq, okay? We're not the Mesopotamian Babylon, but the same demons and same fallen angels, whether it's Gilgamesh, and that'll be interesting, the spirit that left Gilgamesh when he was killed. Why did the U.S. military want his sarcophagus so bad in his DNA? I carried this story on the BBC. The BBC, I just linked to this story almost, 15 years ago.
Right.
Type in Gilgamesh, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Google is now forbidding any searches for guns or ammunition. Don't use them as a source for your search engine. If any of you have Gmail, don't do it if you believe in the Second Amendment, because they just stopped. Did you see that, Doug? They will not allow any searches for guns, firearms, ammunition to go through their search engines anymore.
No, I didn't see that, actually. So, okay, well, that's news to me. And, okay, well, that's believable. I mean, or not only believable, but that's to be expected, I should say.
Right, and so, use Yahoo, Alta Vista, go. And, I mean, here's the thing. I was when Star Wars was a big event and behind the scenes, and obviously we had Reagan doing the stuff and Danny Graham and others really and working on that. The same thing happened with scientists that were being murdered and journalists in Britain. The Marconi assassinations. You can look up dead scientists. I mean, there was a time there when there must have been at least 2 to 3 dozen scientists murdered who are working on Star Wars, okay? So that was a preemptive or a preparatory indication that what would happen in the future. Now, it's important for people to understand this. For those of us who do our homework, and I've done this for 40 years, and I'm not saying I'm a happy camper, but at least, I'll go into the woods still. The point being is that we're at a period where it's all coming down. Doug, you keep asking me, I think you have and please don't take this wrong, but you would hope it would turn around, brother. It ain't going to turn around because it's designed not to turn around. It's planned obsolescence. Unfortunately, it's the United States of America.
I tell you, man, I'm a hard sell sometimes, and sometimes I can't see. It's so difficult for me sometimes. Look, and I get emails too from people. Hey, I just drove from Syracuse, New York to Buffalo. Everything is normal. Commerce is taking place. Everything is normal. Nothing is out of order. How can you get on the radio, Doug, and say that things are so bad? Steve, how can you have Steve come on and say things are so bad? Because everything is so normal. I have an answer for that, okay? Okay, please.
It's real simple. It's not bad for them, so therefore it's good for everyone. It only becomes bad for them when it becomes bad for them. That's called normalcy bias. We have 5 million people without power. West Virginia, the water companies. And Doug, this is the most self-centered, and I'm going to say this to whoever sent you that email. They are the most self-centered people in the universe. I had one guy that I finally blocked his email because that's the whole issue, okay? As long as it's okay for them. They are not standing in line. They cannot believe because they're in a normal mode that it will ever go to the non-normal mode. Tell that to a firefighter putting out 60, 70,000 acres. Tell that to the people whose homes have been burned. Tell that to the people that are 50 million on food stamps. Tell that to the people that have lost. And, you know, I was mocked when I said 20 to 30 million homes. That's what my friend Via told me that the banks aren't admitting to. And he was mocked. Who is this man? You know, well, the answer is that the people that ask that, they are so myopic that they do not see the world around them. Therefore, when the world around them comes crashing down, they'll have no... If the world's bad, look, here's what we're telling people. We're telling people that 1,000 Russian exercises are going on, that the Russian plan is for the invasion of the United States. Oh, I don't believe in Henry Gruver's vision. I don't believe. It doesn't matter, okay? What matters is up until this time in history, it has never taken place. And even the synchronicity of events and the timing of events and even the admission on mainstream TV that the international bankers control the world, maybe it's the best for us after all. Man, Alex Jones used to get beat up over that. I got beat up over that. It was always conspiracy. So when I hear the word, you're a conspiracy nut, okay, or you're a fearmonger, this is what they call me, or you're a doom preacher, or you self-fear to self-stuff, my answer to you is the same. And you're a moron, and you're going to die in your denial. And I know what it means to call names, okay, but when you implicitly assume that because life is good for you, that it can't be bad for anyone else, that is the most, if you will, prideful and arrogant position, and shame on you. Shame on you. See, that's the reason we're in this problem, is because nobody gives a damn about anybody else. They're all about themselves, and each man does that which is right in his own sight, even when it comes to rationing away others' misfortune.
Okay, Steve, I took it a little bit differently. I took it to mean that, hey, I'm looking around, I'm not seeing any
chaos, problems.
Yeah. You know,
but Steve's right. I understand exactly what he's saying, because they're not looking at the
maybe,
bigger
Joe,
picture.
you can say it better than I can, because I answered their question. It's because they don't see it in their backyard. They don't believe it can be in the next county over. Because they don't see it in their own state at this point, they don't care about Colorado on fire. Because they're not, their son wasn't slaughtered in Afghanistan, because their son wasn't beheaded and urinated on by 21 Taliban members and then being given a line of bull manure from the military and saying, you know, different things, and then it all went back to guess what? You know, I better stop here because I'm going to get into trouble if I go any further. But let's just say this.
Well,
it's because they've never lived it. They never died, or forgive me, they've never had anyone die close to them, and because of their normalcy bias. Sure, Doug, that's the same thing that we encountered. Remember, we were talking about, hey, you guys, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in Buffalo, New York, and some really nasty people. And then wait until the goons show up at their house. Wait until their car catches fire. Wait until they've had someone who's their best friend or feigns to be their best friend betray them unto evil hands. Wait until they find out the system doesn't work for them, it works against them. Wait until they're eaten up and spit out by the machine. What I've been trying to do, and I have failed. I've had some success, but look, with someone who's on talk radio as long as I have, the one thing I cannot bridge is I cannot overcome people's selfishness, and I cannot overcome their denial. I cannot do it. So, these events, you're asking me, Doug, why are all these events happening? Even the mainstream press that doesn't want to acknowledge that God is a holy God, that even exists, you know, they still have to use biblical terms because there's no other reference that they can even come up with. No, if you will, Lucifer's dictionary of redefinition, because reality still has to be related to language. So they've tried to change the language. It doesn't matter if it's Ebonics. It doesn't matter if it's, jive talking. It doesn't matter if it's intellectual talking. It doesn't matter. There are still words that are still containers. And dead is dead, okay? And that's what these people are. It's zombies. And can I be blunt with you? This is why I have had to do serious soul searching. And this is why a certain general friend of mine was asked, why do you want to protect those people anyway? Why do you want to? And he said, because God's called me to. And, you know, I say this to myself. I look at the mirror, believe it or not, and I go, How bloody stupid can you be to subject yourself to this kind of ridicule? What's in it for you, Steve, besides, getting upset, or abrasive? I got to tell you something. That was my favorite term last week, Doug.
Abrasive. Okay.
Yeah, I want to be a bloody burr under that person's saddle, and to talk about it, is just, it's insanity. But here's the thing. Sin is insanity. And when there is no power of the living God to ransom, redeem, and to set free a person from sin, they see sin as an act. They fail to acknowledge it as a power, and therefore they're powerless against the power of sin, still trying to, deal with their acts of sin. You've got to lay the acts of redemption, forgiveness, and repentance to the root of evil, and if you get rid of the root of evil, the fruit of evil goes.